Hi, we are continuing to work on Access Mod 1, and I'm beginning at the bottom of page 1-21 with the section that says to resize columns in a database. Right now, we're going to run Access, and then if you get the security warning, be sure to enable content. And then if you need to, remember there's a shutter button here. You can close and open the navigational bar. And we want to right click on the owners table and we want to open this. So we've got the two files that we added earlier. We're going to resize the columns. So remember that you resize the columns by pointing to the right of the boundary line on the field name header. And when you get there, you can double click and that will resize it to best fit. So we did that for first name. And we're going to use the same technique to resize all of the columns so we can see everything in the columns. The street one, city, state, postal code, phone number, mobile phone, and email address. So now you're able, and we can do that for the owner ID too. Now you're able to see all of the data that is typed in each column. Now we're going to create a table in Design View. So we've got this one done for now, and we're going to create a table in Design View, which is a little bit different than the way we created this one. We'll close this table by clicking the X and then say yes to saving the changes. The data gets saved automatically, but changes to the appearance of it do not. So we had to change the way we resize them. So to create a table in Design View, we're going to click on Create, and then you'll notice you have different things here. You have tables, queries, forms, and so on. We're going to go to the tables, and we're going to click on Table Design. And that brings up that design view that you've seen before. But we're going to change this a little bit differently. So we want to click in the first field name, and we're going to type in the new field name called Patient ID. And once we get that typed in, then we should go up here and click hit the tab to enter it. We're going to go up here and click the primary key button to make that our primary key. And then we're going to type in the rest of the fields. So this first field is short text. Then we can, and it doesn't say what the field name is going to be, but we'll go ahead and type everything in. We've got patient ID. Then we're going to go down and we're going to type in patient name. And again, if we hit tab, we don't want to create this as the primary key because remember, for most databases, you're only going to have one primary key. We've got patient name. Then we have animal type. Oops. Again, short text, breed, whoops, I have to tab one more time. And the last one is owner ID. Now you remember putting owner ID in the first table. Having two field names that are identical help to relate the tables together. So the owner ID field is going to be the way to relate these two tables together to make sure that they somehow are connected. So that's what we've done here. Now we're going to change the view. If you see any errors, whoops, I forgot to tab over to make that short text. So we have that over. Now we're going to click the view button. Here's our view button up in the left corner. And we want to change to data sheet view. And we have to save the table. So we're going to say yes, and we're going to name this table patient. Just like that. And then click OK. Now we're ready to add the data. So if you take a look at the bottom of page 1-25, you'll find a table down there, figure 1-32, that you're going to use to type in the data. So take a few minutes to type in all of the data. Keep in mind that when you're typing in the owner ID, it's a capital letter O, not the letter or not the number 0. So be sure that as you type that data in, you're using that correctly. Now we're going to go ahead and close the table. So we're going to click the close button, and it automatically was saved because when you type in data like that, it is automatically saved. Now we're going to resize the columns. So let's open the patient table in we're going to open the patient table just like we normally would by right-clicking and opening, and then go ahead and double-click to the right of each field name so that you can resize each one of those. Now we're going to save the layout by clicking the Save button up here in the upper left-hand corner, and then we're going to close the patient table. Now we're going to import additional data into the existing tables. So at this point you haven't really typed much in there, but we're going to import additional data. So the first thing we want to do is we want to open a table from the data files and save it to the storage location. And you should have already done that. That was that support file that we saved before we even started. Then we're going to open the CMF Vets database, which is what we have open right now, and we're going to click at Get External Data. So we're going to go to the External Data tab, and then here we have Import and we have Export. We want to import data from a previously one, so we want to click the New Data Source button, and we're going to point to From Database, and we're going to point to Access, and this table will come up. Now the one thing that you have to be careful of is not to type in what you see in your textbook, but rather browse for your data file. So I'm going to browse for that data file, which I happen to save in a folder on my desktop, Access Assignments, and there is the support file that I want right there. So I click on that support file and I click Open. Then down here I want to make sure that it says Import Tables, Queries, Forms, Reports, Macros, and Modules into the current database, because I have the current database open. So I want to make sure that that is selected, and then I click OK. Now up here we want to select, we want to bring everything in. So we just click OK to select, or we click Select All first, and then we click OK to import everything. Then at this point it says, do you want to save the changes? We do not have to save the changes because we're not going to do this step again. We'd only save the steps if we were going to repeat this at some time. But once we've imported the data, we don't need to import it again. So we're just going to leave that blank, and then we're going to click Close. Now what that did was it imported several different tables. You'll notice now that we have an Import Appointments table, and we have a Treatment and Cost table and a Veterinarians table, in addition to the tables that we already have in there. Okay, I'm going to stop this video now, and then we'll move on to the next section where it is creating additional database objects.